Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And last year, on November the 13th, 2022, 4 very young people were taken from this world in Moscow, Idaho. And these 4 young people were Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zana Kenodal, and Madison Magan. And they were all taken, brutally murdered in the shared house. In the house that they shared, they were students at Idaho University. And the home that they were living in was a 3-story house with 6 bedrooms, 2 on each floor. Now, although these 4 young people lost their lives, there were other people in the house at the time who, for some reason, were spared. Moscow, Idaho is not a place where there's a lot of crime, and there had not been a murder there since 2015. Then on December the 30th, the same year, so last year, 2022, a 28-year-old man was arrested, Bryan Kohberger. Let's chat. Okay, hi. I'm going to say hello to everyone first, I think, for a change. Hi, Chumba. Chumba was first. Hi, David. Hi, Tina. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Mal. Oh, how are you, Mal? Hope you're well. Hi, Tracy. I'm looking forward to your rant. Hi, Tracy. Okay, so as you're coming in, I just want to, you've probably seen on the community post, so I have managed to get a shop up and running to sell merchandise. I've had some really, hi Rini, I've had such really good ideas for slogans, etc. And I don't know if Heather will be on here tonight, but she made a good one about the rant of the day, and don't be a twonk, I think would be a good one. Yeah, be more Vicky Marie, don't be a twonk. That might be a really good one. So yeah, lots of good ideas. The only one that I've got up so far, hi Rio, is the mug with hi Ocean. Let me just show you the shop in case you haven't seen it. Gosh, got to find it. Got that many windows open as usual. Why is that not showing up? See? Yeah, I've definitely got it up there. Anyway, why can I not show that? Ah, there it is. Okay, so this is the little shop. It's not very glamorous yet. I haven't managed to, make it I don't know. It's so complicated. Lots of things you can do, and I can do all sorts of things with the home page, etc., which I haven't quite managed. But I'm surprised that I've actually even managed, to set it up. And there is my only product at the moment, which is the mug, a white glossy mug, and it says on it, Vicky Marie with a cup of tea. May your God go with you. But I've got lots more going on there, lots of different sayings. And, I can almost cut, and of course I will be putting other things on, like T-shirts and stuff like that. But it's just a question of time. But anyway, I know a few of you have gone and just checked it out and seen for me that it's live. It is live. I think, you know, you can order it, but it's only that's on there at the moment. So thank you for those couple of you who've subscribed on there, because it asks you for like your email address, and then you become a customer. So that's it, you know, even though you've not bought anything. So any of you want to go on and do that, you don't have to buy something to do that. So, but that helps, because when I do discounts and things like that, I can what's the word, specify if I've got if somebody's registered on there, I can actually include them in things, you know. So anyway, so it's quite exciting. I'm very excited about it now, and that leads me to tell you about another, because somebody's been helping me out with it, and I just, if you don't mind, maybe you'd go and check out their website, because they've helped me out with some designs and things like that, and they've got a lot of Christmas. I think you can see this. Let me just put that one down. Have I? Yeah. And I think these are just fantastic. So, if you go on there and have a look, I've ordered one of these Christmas sweatshirts. I'm not going to tell you which one. That's a surprise. But look, they're lovely. I wanted all of them. I had to choose one. This is my Christmas movie watching jumper. Yeah, all different colours. Got the little Santas. It's made me feel all Christmassy now. I love these with the Christmas tree. Got the sloth for a lazy Christmas. Like, they're lovely. I'm going to put the link to this website in the description. So these are the Christmas things. Now, they don't only do it, because they've helped me a lot with designs, etc. So for know there's a few of you out there that like horses. Got horse lover t-shirts. If you can read this, please put me back up on the horse. I love horses more than people. And you don't scare me, I ride a mare. You know, it's good, isn't it? I'm only talking to my horse. And then you put your horse's name there. Horses make me happy, you not so much. And they've got like doggy ones. They've got all sorts. T-shirts, sweaters, aprons, cupcakes, aprons, unisex t-shirts, wine and true crime, lazy day. I just think they're really nice, and especially I like the Christmas ones. Let's go back and have a look at them. Yeah, very nice. It's made me feel all Christmassy. So I have ordered one. I may order another one, actually. I'm not sure, because I like all of them. So anyway, so I just wanted to tell you about that. I'm going to put the link in the description to this website, and maybe you won't mind checking it out. You might see something that you like, because just this person has helped me out quite a lot. So I'm very grateful to them for that. Okay. I'm going to come back and see you now. See. Ooh. Okay. Right. Let me just maybe miss something. Oh, gosh, there's a lot of you in. You're doing a lot of chatting. I've got to go. Oh, I hope I don't miss anyone. I'm going back up to I think Rene. I said hello to Rene. I said hello to Ocean. So I've got as far as that. Kelly. Hi, Kelly. I think I said hello to Tracy, but I'll say hello again. Hi, Tracy. Tina does a really good work. So, Ruth, hi. You're only here for half an hour. I know. Well, that's why I put this on a little bit earlier than normal, because I thought get it out of the way before Strictly comes on, because I know people like Strictly. But of course, you can always come back and watch this anyway. So, oh Rio, you've got a shop on Redbubble. You've got to tell me what shop is it anyway. Yeah, send me an email. Let me know about it. Hi DMV. I'll put a link, Rini, in the description. I'll put a link to that website in the description. I might be able to put it on here actually. Oh, I've put it down now. I will put a link, so don't worry. You'll be seeing. I'll be talking about it again anyway. So, but I will definitely put a link into the description. I might do a community post about it as well. Okay, so that's the news about merchandise, but it's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to having one of my own. I must be a narcissist, because I'm quite looking forward to having one of my own mugs. That's ridiculous. Anyway, so I hope you're all having a nice weekend so far. It's weekend, Saturday night, the week. Well, time just goes quickly. I mean, it won't be that long before it will be Christmas as well. You have to get organised, don't you? You know, but I'm never organised. You know, my nickname is VickyLastMinute.com. It has been for years with all my friends. VickyLastMinute.com, that's me. But I'm going to try and be a little bit more organised this year. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Bryan Kohberger. So it was a year ago when this happened, nearly to, you know, it's only a few days ago. It was the anniversary, or it had been a year. And Bryan is in prison awaiting trial. I did do a video about the actual murders themselves, and I will put a link to that in the description box as well, just in case you hadn't seen that video. So I'm not actually going to talk about the events tonight. We didn't really know that much about I didn't really know. I've never, until that video I did the other day, I've not done a video about this case before. So I had quite a lot. I'd sort of, you know, you see it on the periphery, because I watch a lot of true crime, and these videos and things come up, and YouTubers that I like, you know, have done lots of videos on the Idaho 4 or on Bryan, etc. So I sort of knew bits of it, but now I've sort of looked into it more to get like the more information. So I want to tell you about Bryan, just so that we can try and understand, you know, who is he and how did he end up in this position? How did he get to this place where he is? I mean, I think generally he is innocent till proven guilty, of course. He has pled not guilty, but then that is what all murderers do. And they keep their plea as not guilty until it, you know, when it looks as if, you know, as the evidence mounts up, their lawyers will normally advise them to plead guilty and try and take a plea deal, because the prosecutors in this case, they are asking for the death penalty. Bryan is only 28 years old, so he's not going to be wanting that, is he? You know, so maybe he does, I don't know. But of course, the strange thing that's happened, and the longer he's in prison, the more likely it's going to go on, is, you know, he's got this fan club now. This is what always amazes me. I suppose because he's a youngish guy. Well, I don't think, you know, maybe they think he's attractive. I personally, oh my God, I've only got a look in his eyes. Let's have a look at him. I've got photos of him somewhere. So, yeah, here he is. This is Bryan. And to me, even all these photos that sort of from when he was young, well, he's still young, obviously, but when he was younger until now in prison, the one thing that stands out for me are the eyes. Now, you see in this picture, because he's had problems with his weight. He's been anorexic, he's been overweight, he's had problems with drugs, that we're going to look at all these issues that he's had. But for me, however his appearance might have changed over the years, he looks very thin on this picture, doesn't he? however his appearance has changed over the years, the one thing that's consistent as far as I'm concerned are those eyes. You know, those eyes are pretty... Look, even when he was stopped by the police and a police traffic stop, look at the way he's looking at the policeman. You know, there's something wrong in those eyes somehow. He looks haunted. I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying he looks happy or anything. He doesn't. He looks haunted. And then here he just looks smug. But his eyes are, you know, they're not good, are they? You wouldn't look... I wouldn't want to be his lawyer. This appears to be his lawyer, this blonde woman. You see her often, well, always sat next to him. So she's obviously his lawyer. I wouldn't want to be his lawyer and sit next to him and have him look at me like he's looking at her there. Okay, so that is him. That is Bryan. So what's led him to this place? How has he ended up at 28 years old being accused of murdering 4 young people for not any reason from what we can see? There's again, it's because it's sort of a case that's not come to trial yet. There's a lot that we don't know. And it seems possible, you know, that people have said things that he may have become fixated on one of the girls and that the others were just happened to be there. You know, but there's various different theories and we don't know anything for sure. Now, if you look at him here in his yearbook, you can see he's quite overweight there. And there seems to be a conflict between people who say he was bullied and people who say he was a bully, you know, so who knows what the truth was. But he seems to have had a good upbringing. I mean, I do feel for his parents because I would imagine, you know, that they're pretty distraught. You know, they're not so, you know, he hasn't had a terrible upbringing, like they've not got issues, and they cared about him and they've looked after him, and so that'll be difficult for them as well. Now, I'm going to look at this website first of all, the Law and Crime website, to try and get an idea if we can. I mean, you can never work these people out, of course. But to get an idea of how he arrived at this place. How did he arrive at this place? I wonder if I can play this video.
It's a story that's gripped the nation. 4 college students brutally stabbed to death in their off-campus Idaho home. For weeks, no suspects, no arrests, and no murder weapon. Until...
detectives arrested 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murder of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee.
On December 30th.
Yeah, because the police came under a lot of criticism at the time. It seemed like a long time before they arrested anyone or even announced a suspect. But it turned out that actually, you know, they were doing a lot. People thought they weren't doing anything, but of course it was all under the surface, and they actually were doing quite a lot. And then suddenly they just arrested him. Nobody had any idea that they even had a suspect.
2022, officials announced the arrest of suspect Bryan Kohberger, the man they say is responsible for the murders of University of Idaho students Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Zana Kernodle. Weeks before, on November 13th, their bodies were found stabbed to death on the upper 2 floors of their off-campus home.
I'm sure there's statistics out there of, you know, many people pass by a murderer, many people know a murderer. Well, I don't. It's very concerning, and it's very eerie and creepy as well.
It's crazy because literally days after these murders happened, he brought it up when I saw him in the hallway.
To get inside the mind of accused killer Bryan Kohberger, Law and Crime Network began a weeks-long investigation into his past, teaming up with local Pennsylvania news outlet LehighValleyLive.com to walk in the footsteps of the highly educated murder suspect before he moved across the country to Washington.
It's almost too good to be true, unless this guy was miraculously set up, which is like a 1 in a billion chance. no one cares enough about Bryan Kohberger to set him up.
Our investigation began thousands of miles from the Moscow, Idaho crime scene in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, where Kohberger grew up.
That's not something that you really expect for a national story to come back.
Hi, Ray. Yes, his eyes are piercing, aren't they? See you in a bit, DMV. And Tracy, it's working, is it? Thanks for letting me know.
To our area.
The Kohberger family home in Albrightsville, safely guarded behind the gates of the Indian Mountain Lake development, sits only about...
Did you see where they live? That's where his parents live, in that amazing, you could see it's like a park.
10 minutes away from Pleasant Valley High School, where Kohberger graduated in 2013. But it was about an hour south in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley, where he spent the bulk of his 20s.
DeSales is kind of its own sort of campus outside.
Yeah, so he went to DeSales University.
Of Bethlehem, in a more rural area, surrounded by a lot of cornfields and small neighborhoods.
Down a winding tree-lined road on the outskirts of the valley is DeSales University, a private Catholic school with less than 5,000 total students.
It's a small school. It's not like it's a Penn State or a Pitt or a Temple. It's a very small school in a cornfield. So
a very small school in a cornfield. I think this is just totally, because they've not had a murder in this area since 2015. That's a long time. I bet there's not many places that could say that.
If you go there, you know most of the people within your study, and pretty much everyone that goes to the school. And he was not known.
But his eyes are piercing even then.
It's here at DeSales University where Kohberger really got his feet wet in the study of criminology. He received both his undergraduate and graduate degrees here, and DeSales officials tell me he studied in this very building.
So yeah, the other thing is he studied criminology, and criminal justice later on he studied. So, he knew, he sort of obviously had an interest in crime. I mean, if anyone looked at my search history, they'd probably think I was on the way to being a serial killer, because I've, obviously searched that many murders and things. So yeah, I mean, we can't just assume that because someone's interested in true crime that they're going to be a serial killer.
Inside the walls of Dooling Hall, then undergraduate Josh Ferraro met psychology major Bryan Kohberger.
At that time, I would have never said, oh yeah, that guy would do something like this. He may have been a little odd or a little off, but like other than that, you'd never expect someone to be allegedly part of a quadruple homicide ever.
Ferraro, who graduated from DeSales with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, is a self-proclaimed true crime junkie.
I was following it day one, because who hears about 4 college students that are unfortunately murdered, and how do you not want to keep up with that?
That's it. I mean, these days, I think there's not many people who aren't interested in true crime. I think it's because of social media and because of videos and crime novels, but people have always been interested in it. It's different these days. There's always been Columbo or Ironside or Sherlock Holmes, and that people have always been interested in crime. It's just, I think nowadays, because everything's so much more accessible, that people are perhaps more interested in it.
So I got on TikTok, YouTube, Google, and I vigorously kept up with this case.
It came as a surprise then when Ferraro's one-time classmate was charged in the murders.
And that's why it's like shocking to me, because this guy was such a normal dude, average Joe type person. You would never, you don't know what's under people's skin.
An average Joe type person. I mean, yeah, can you imagine really if you suddenly found out that someone that you knew, maybe not knew really well, but some poor people, they have to find out that somebody that's actually in their family is a serial killer. Your brain wouldn't compute it, would it?
God forbid if he didn't do it, great. But all the signs point to that he did.
After news broke of Kohberger's arrest, Ferraro recorded his reaction and posted it on social media.
I went to college with Bryan Kohberger. I've been looking at his picture all day. I've been saying the name all day in my head. And I was like, I know this guy. I know this guy. And then he went to DeSales University. I'm like, I know I had a class with him. I know it. I know it. The name sounds so familiar.
Back in 2018, Ferraro teamed up with Kohberger for a project on Daphnia, or water fleas. He says they worked together for an entire semester.
He was new.
I fancy doing a project on water fleas. I mean, why?
And I said, hey, buddy, do you want to be my lab partner? And that's pretty much what was left. So I took him. And it ended up working out very well.
As a commuter student, Kohberger came and went from campus during his undergraduate psychology studies. Ferraro says he kept to himself and didn't show any outward signs of something more menacing.
It's not always the creepy guy with glasses and oily hair and creeping around the corner. It's sometimes just that average Joe that on the inside, you have no idea what he looks like. But on the outside, he may just seem like a normal person, much like Bryan Kohberger did.
Ferraro instead theorizes Kohberger's alleged drive to kill stems from something on the inside.
I really don't think that there's too many outward telltale signs of someone committing a crime.
That's a good idea, Mal. A photo with I haven't worn a mask for ages, have I? Yeah, because I think I got masked out going up to Halloween, but yeah, I need to start wearing a mask again in the members or whatever. But of course, we're doing the animals this month, and then we've got the Christmas. We've got some special things happening at Christmas, and then in January maybe when we all need a laugh again because we'll all be miserable, get the January blues. Maybe I'll start with the masks again then. But yeah, you're right. That'd be good on a t-shirt or a mug or something.
I feel like it's all mostly internal, which goes back to the blank slate theory and basically how you're raised, what you're exposed to as a child, what your genetics are. That would be predisposition. So like some things you're predisposed to do in life, that's just unfortunate. Your genetics dictate you will be one way. However, the blank slate theory says that dependent on your situation and who you grew up with, what kind of friends you have, how many friends you have, do you have a lover, all these things in combination kind of make you who you are.
A load of bollocks. Sorry, I don't agree with it. You know what I think? You're just born bad. Some people are born bad. Now, apparently, Bryan was teased at school because he was overweight. Well, who wasn't? I certainly was. It's like, God, talk about teased or bullied. There's not many of us who weren't bullied for something because you know what it's like at school. It's horrible. There'll always be something that people will find to pick on people about. So, I don't buy this.
So it's a combination of both, in my opinion. I'm not a professional. You got to ask Catherine Ramsland.
As a graduate student at DeSales, Kohberger majored in criminal justice. That means both he and Ferraro studied under legendary forensic psychologist Dr. Catherine Ramsland. We reached out to Ramsland for this story and were told via email, quote, "I'm making no statements about Bryan Kohberger and will not be interviewed for any stories that feature him."
Oh, okay.
But months before Kohberger's arrest, Ramsland appeared on Law and Crime Network's podcast, Cocktails and Cocktails.
What?
I come face to face with psychopaths? Absolutely. The coldness, the lack of remorse, definitely. So some people call that evil, but we are finding that it might very well be a brain disorder.
In the interview given just 7 months before the University of Idaho murders, Ramsland explained the workings of a psychopath's mind.
The brains of what we call primary psychopaths, who seem to be born with this brain disconnect, are definitely different. And it allows them to be better predators if that's what they choose to be. Not all psychopaths are criminals, not all psychopaths are murderers, but if they choose that, it allows them to be very effective at it because they really don't have any remorse over what they're doing. And they really can be very calculated. They tend to be very reward driven.
But according to forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre, we can't yet label Kohberger as a psychopath or even a serial killer.
Even if he was a serial, even if he does have that, what actually happened was that he was a mass killer, right? That because there was 3+, sometimes it's 4+, depending on what law enforcement agency that you ask, whoever did this should actually be considered a mass killer. But that doesn't take away from the possibility that they are also a serial killer.
We can't even confirm Ferraro's blank slate theory.
The science have suggested that when we're born, we actually do have coding, right? We do have ways in which we are going to be perceived.
Yeah, he's not a serial killer, because a serial killer, you have to kill one and then have a cooling off period before you kill the next one. He just killed them all on one night. So he's more of a spree killer, I would say, or like they say, a mass killer. If he's guilty, of course. We've got to remember that he's actually not been proven guilty yet.
Perceiving the world around us. Now, of course, external influences change.
No,
Martin, who
sorry, I'm
declined
just
an
fast
interview.
forwarding it.
But while sitting down with Hauk, we learned news of Kohberger's arrest came as a shock for the community.
Obviously, it's the reaction that everybody has. It's us, it's like a close to home thing, because then you're watching and people are.
So apparently everyone was really surprised. He's not a person that people thought was strange or, suspected in any way. It was a total surprise to the whole community, his community, when he was arrested. Came out like a bolt from the blue. But I think that's common, to be honest.
Posting Facebook pictures of him on campus, on some campus close by or something like that.
One such campus is Northampton Community College book and DeSales University documents from his parents' home when a search warrant was executed.
The Master of Arts in Criminal Justice is awarded to Carlina Kemery, Jenna Cook, Bryan Kohberger.
We reached out to Kohberger's entire criminal justice graduating class for this story, but his classmates either didn't reply or denied our request for an interview. One classmate told us via text that DeSales University, quote, sent a general communication that suggested everything go through the university as to be respectful of the ongoing situation. The Associate Vice President of Marketing and Communications told us via phone the school did not discourage students to speak with the media, but that she was available to assist in media requests on a case-by-case basis. The school's statement via email recapped Kohberger's majors, the years he completed each program, and confirmed he was always a commuter student.
DeSales is just such a close.
Okay, now sorry, I've just fast forwarded because this is his friend at the time talking about.
Because he didn't have any friends, I was trying to bring him out and maybe meet people he can, relate to. But she was always like, "No, please don't." Like, there was just something about him that she didn't.
So this
because
guy,
that was one of his very first times, if not his first time in Moscow.
She didn't like.
This guy was a friend of his, but he was saying his wife did not like him.
Calling their conversations after Kohberger's arrest, some key points stick out.
I guess looking back, it's kind of funny because he was talking about how. What was he? He was talking about genealogy because I was talking about the 23andMe because my sister had just did all that. And then he brought up something similar in his studies that had to do with like being able to catch criminals because of their relatives' DNA, which is, I guess, how he got caught up in his mix.
The probable cause affidavit released after Kohberger's arrest revealed a knife sheath was left behind at the crime scene, containing a single source of male DNA. When compared with DNA recovered from the...
So this is how he was caught. He left a knife sheath behind. I mean, that's like rule number one, isn't it? You don't leave a knife sheath behind where you've just stabbed 4 people. Anyway, and that's where they got the DNA from. So that's really how he was caught.
The trash at Kohberger's parents' home, it proved to be a near perfect match. When the FBI interviewed Martinez, they asked whether he had ever seen Kohberger with a similar weapon.
They just asked about like if he had a knife on him or anything like that. If I ever noticed him with a knife. I didn't. He never had anything on him like that.
When Thanksgiving approached less than 2 weeks after the murders, Moscow police announced their investigation would continue through the holiday.
I want to assure you, first off, that the loss of Xana, Kaylee, Madison, and Ethan remains the highest priority for the Moscow Police Department. We will continue putting all of our resources into investigating.
Anyway, so they found him. They arrested him. I'm just going to go a bit further down on here because right. I'm going to read you out what it says about his childhood. So he flew under the radar for most of his life. So he had no criminal record as far as I know. Growing up in the rural Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania and attending college in the Lehigh Valley region, he was described as an awkward, regular Joe with a dead stare. And he's certainly got those penetrating eyes, hasn't he? So, of course, that ended for him in December when he was arrested. He wasn't under the radar anymore. And obviously he made headlines. But for people who went to university with him, like that guy that was talking earlier, Josh Ferraro, he was saying that I'm sure there's statistics out there of how many people pass by a murderer or know a murderer. And of course, he didn't realize when he knew Bryan that Bryan probably didn't even know then really that he was going to end up being a murderer. So these are the people that were in the house that night. Anyway. Okay, so I want to get down to his actual childhood. So here he is on some pictures from when he was younger. You can see, even though he looks quite different, isn't he? You can see he's at varying, you know, he's quite slim on this picture, but bigger on these other pictures. But the one thing that is, you know, the eyes stand up, the eyes are the same. So let me get to the bit, because he had a lot of problems when he was young. As I say, he got involved in drugs. He started off on marijuana, and then he ended up on heroin. Go down. Don't know if I've got any more information on this one. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so here we've got some more information about him. Yeah, he has got those shark's eyes, hasn't he? Hi, Jim. And the goats, yeah. You haven't sent me a photo of you goats, Jim, to put with the animals. Okay, so right, mustn't get distracted. So we've got a few different photos here of him. I don't want to just let me go down. So yeah, there's something. Look at those eyes. He almost looks like he's got a broken nose there as well. I don't know if he did have a broken nose, but anyway, so apparently Benjamin Roberts, one of his friends, said that he said one day, I can go down to a bar or a club and pretty much have any woman I want. Anyway, so he thought a lot of himself, obviously. So the only thing that friends said was any different about him after the murders, they said he didn't act any differently, but they did say that he appeared a bit disheveled, tired, and he talked more than normal. But still, they were all really surprised when he was arrested. And then this other person said that the family would want the general public to know that Bryan is a caring son and brother. He's responsible, he's devoted to his family. So his family made a statement and they said, we care deeply for the 4 families who have lost their precious children, and that they seek the truth. They should seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence rather than judge unknown facts and make erroneous assumptions. He is innocent until proven otherwise, which of course is true. So apparently he came from a close-knit family. His father was a maintenance worker. His mum worked in the school system. Now, he has 2 older sisters. One works as a family therapist, and the other sister appeared in a 2011 slasher film about a group of young students viciously murdered by a serial killer. She's now a school counsellor. You couldn't make it up, really, could you? Anyway, so Bree, one of these friends, said her heart goes out to Bryan's family. So Bree was a friend of Bryan's. She met him at a party when they were at high school, and she asked, this is 48 Hours that were interviewing her, she asked them not to use her last name. She said he was funny, but not outgoing, but he also wasn't shy. So there's a picture of Bree with Bryan. You know, so what? He says he wasn't outgoing at all, but he also wasn't shy. Anyway, she says they bonded over their love of the outdoors. And she says, I don't remember the conversations, but you definitely remember how someone makes you feel. I just remember feeling okay. I was just with a friend. It felt natural. So apparently he wanted to be an army ranger. He also wanted to be a policeman. And Bree recalls that he was an average student with only a few close friends. And in his yearbook photo, it was said that he aspired to be an army ranger. So another friend of his, Casey Arntz, she also knew him from high school. And she said on TikTok, following his arrest, I used to be friends with Bryan Kohberger. I'm in actual shock right now. He was an overweight kid, so he did get bullied a lot. But she says that changed when in his senior year, he lost about 100 pounds and a lot of people noticed a huge switch in him, she said. So he went from being sort of, well, you can see the difference there in those 2 photos. So he lost 100 pounds, but he looks like he went very, very skinny almost. You know, he went from one extreme to the other. And then she says her brother now has come out to say that even though they were friends, Bryan bullied him. He said that he would put him in chokeholds and stuff like that. And then he started using heroin, and that's what ended their friendship, because she just saw him becoming more and more self-destructive. Anyway, he did eventually go into rehab. So it appeared that after he graduated from high school, he did start to get his life back together. He was going to Northampton Community College and he was working security for the Pleasant Valley School District. And he was telling her he wanted to get sober, that he was getting sober, and he was saying he was going to get better, he was going to get better. So here he is at a wedding in 2017. It's just every time you see a picture of him, it's just the eyes, isn't it, that you focus on. So that was the last time that Casey saw him. And she said, she gave him a hug and she said, you look so good. I'm so proud of you. So he then focused on these studies in criminology. He said he wanted to do something that impacted people in a good way. He didn't really like people. But Bree, or he said he did, we're going to read some of his some posts that he made, that he says that he doesn't like people. So I'm going to read those in a bit. But so yeah, so she's saying people close to him feel guilty because they think, why didn't we see that there was anything wrong? You know, you often get this. Other people always feel guilty, I find. Except the perpetrator. The perpetrator never feels any guilt, or often doesn't feel any guilt, because they're a psychopath, so they're incapable of feeling guilt. But you quite often find that other people feel guilt, that they could have done something to change things. Anyway, so that's that about Bryan. I personally think he's not, like you say, Jackie, that he's just not, you know, there's just something not quite, anyway, not quite there. Right, where am I going next? I've got a lot of things to tell you about, show you. Now, somebody was saying earlier they'd like to hear him talk, but I haven't got any, I couldn't find anything where he's actually speaking. Even when he appeared in court, he didn't speak. The judge made the not guilty plea for him. I haven't seen anything where he actually speaks. Right. Now, what I want to show you now is that I think this might give us a clue more than anything about he obviously was suffering from depression, and he made a series of posts on something that's called Tapper Talk when he was younger. And he said that he was suffering from visual snow syndrome. And he actually sort of mentions it. Now, so I looked it up to see where it is. So it's a very rare disorder that was first discovered in 1995. And it's supposed to affect up to 2% of the population. Let me share this with you. I'd never heard of it before, to be honest. I don't know why that ended up going up there. So, hi DMV, you're back. So yeah, has anybody ever heard of this visual snow syndrome? I've certainly never heard of it before. So what is visual snow syndrome? So apparently he discussed it on a forum when he was sort of in his late teens and he was suffering from a lot of depression. So it's a rare disorder first described in 1995 that's estimated to affect up to 2% of the population. So that's a very small part of the population, isn't it, really? And studies suggest that depression, anxiety, and poor sleep are common side effects. So on an online forum when he was a teenager, and it's Reddit, Tapper Talk, which I'd never heard of before. It says here that he may have said he experienced a strange visual anomaly. In a series of posts on a forum called Tapper Talk in 2011, he wrote about having a condition called visual snow. Now, I don't know if this has been confirmed that this was him, but everyone seems to think it was him. And this person, who is thought to be Kohberger, wrote, "It is as if the ringing in my ears and the fuzz in my vision is simply all the demons in my head mocking me." Now, visual snow syndrome is a little-known neurological disorder that scientists first recognized in 1995. And most people experiencing it continuously see tiny snow-like flecks in their vision, as if the world in front of them is a badly tuned old TV set. The dots are usually black and white, although they can sometimes be transparent. And that static-like vision, which remains even with closed eyes, can be debilitating to some, affecting their capacity to work and complete school. So apparently it's usually diagnosed based on the symptoms people report after other conditions that might have caused it have been ruled out. So it seems like, yeah, in other words, when you can't find what else it is, it must be visual snow syndrome. So it's a syndrome rather than an illness. So studies suggest depression, anxiety, and poor sleep are common side effects of visual snow syndrome. And it affects 2% of the world's population. And because it's so rare, researchers are only just starting to understand it or to study it. And it says that the average age of people experiencing visual snow syndrome was 29, and nearly 40% of those surveyed said they'd had symptoms for as long as they could remember. Anyway, so it says the condition does not seem to get worse over time, but there is no cure for visual snow syndrome. And one study indicated a medication used to treat seizures and bipolar disorder worked for some patients with visual snow, and orange-tinted glasses may also provide relief. Now, so the reason I wanted to read that, because now we're going to look at some of the posts that he made. And this is Reddit. I don't know if any of you have ever been on Reddit. I very rarely go on there, but it's a very popular forum, probably amongst younger, I think of it amongst younger people, but maybe not, I don't know. But I don't really understand how it works. But anyway, so it talks about the visual snow syndrome. But let's look at the post. So when he was 14 years old, if he is this person, when he was 14 years old, he says this is the date when his visual snow syndrome began. One summer when he was on his PC most of the day and drinking a lot of coffee, associated with worsening anxiety, he awoke with visual snow, which became chronic. I think it's probably got a lot to do with that. A lot of young people now, they're, I can see when I'm on the computer a lot, it's not good. It makes you tired. Anyway, then later he posted, I'm 15 in 21 days and I don't want to wish I'm dead because of this horrible thing. Then he doesn't post for about a year. And then he, when he's 50, it's very sad actually, really. He said that he can no longer remember anything recent or anything from childhood. He's been depressed, fixated on the symptoms and feeling that life is pointless. Then his posts got infrequent. And then he explodes back onto the scene with this post. I know the cause of visual snow over time. Oh, sorry, hang on. Where's the post? Oh, he got obsessed with the diet. So he's a vegan. Bryan Kohberger is a vegan. He's obsessed with his diet. And this is what happened around about this time, because he said he got headaches and it talks about toxins, etc. So he would get quite obsessive about what he ate, and this evolved into veganism. Then he made quite another post, he made quite a lot of posts then about his psychiatric symptoms and worsening depersonalization. And then he finally in 2011 made this long post, nothing I do is enjoyable. I am blank, I have no opinion, I have no emotion, I have nothing. Can you relate? And he was describing his hopelessness, his depersonalization and alienation. Then he went very, very dark with a post titled, I simply don't want to live anymore. Then he posted for another couple of days, then went dark again. Then he left, he announced he was leaving the forum. Now, there was something else that I saw. Yeah, look, he said, as I hug my family, I look into their faces, I see nothing. It's as if I'm looking at a video game, but less. He felt like humans, He said, I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth, and I'm starting to view everyone like this. So he's obviously, you know, had issues. And yeah, there's this funny thing that as he had murdered 4 of those 4 young people, he walked past one of the other roommates who was at the door, and she said he just like walked back. He was in some sort of a trance, you know. Anyway, I don't know. He'd obviously suffered from depression when he was young, but of course it doesn't excuse what he did, does it? You know, it's very sad. Anyway, so that is Bryan Kohberger. Now we don't. As I say, he's pled not guilty, though he didn't actually speak to plead not guilty. Let's just put a photo of him up while I'm telling you about him. He did not speak at all. He got the lawyer spoke for him, and then the judge accepted his not guilty plea. And then this is just talking about other people who spoke about him, said, I don't recall, he's one of his teachers, his guidance counselor, Donna Yozwiak, who was his counselor through most of high school. Apparently his parents were active in attending meetings to help steer him through his education. She said, I recall no problems. He was a regular kid. His parents were involved in his education. I don't recall anything out of the ordinary. So it's unusual. There's normally something in their background. But what many people do remember about him was his considerable weight loss. And this dramatic change occurred between his junior and senior years. So he started kickboxing every day after school and running in the evenings with a neighbour. And he became hyper-focused on what he ate, to the point that he developed an eating disorder and required hospitalization. So he's saying here that he lost more than 300 pounds, and it was as much as half his body mass. Oh, and I didn't know this. And it was so rapid that he had to have tummy tuck surgery because he was left with so much excess skin. Gosh, and at that age, you know, normally your skin is flexible and does go back, but it must have just been a massive amount. So apparently during this period, that's when his personality changed and he became more aggressive. So this aunt's, we heard about this earlier, it almost seemed to be, he had a desire to be the alpha. For no reason, he tried to grapple me and put me in headlocks when I didn't want to. He tried to portray it as just boys being boys, but that's not the way I took it. And then years later, he enlisted in the US Army and was deployed overseas. Not Kohberger, that his friend. And Kohberger sent him a Facebook message offering congratulations and apologising for how he treated him when they were younger. And he said he did not respond. So yeah, this will tell us about his drug problems. So it's not a commonplace, but you know, some places drugs are rife, aren't they? This is not so much of a case, but a place where that happens. But as he finished off his high school, that's when he started off with marijuana, and then he graduated into a heroin addiction. So yeah, I mean, he got involved in the drugs. That led to a lot of alienating a lot of his relationships with friends, etc. You know, so he had no criminal record though. He'd never got caught or anything. But you know, a lot of young people fall into drugs, don't they? Though not normally heroin, maybe they dabble in marijuana. And marijuana is bad enough; it's a gateway drug, isn't it? So there was Casey Arntz, the friend of his that was talking earlier. she fell out with him because he got her to drive him around, asking for a ride after his car broke down, because he said he had to do something. But it turned out, she found out that it was actually to go and buy heroin and needles. So she fell out with him then. But then he went into rehab. So by May 2018, he was saying that he wasn't using drugs anymore. So I don't know. So that seemed to be when he was getting his life sorted out. So what happened in the meantime, how he got to this place then, he's obviously had quite a disturbed adolescence with a lot of problems, but how he then, that's a big jump, isn't it? From most adolescents really have problems one way or another, don't they? It's like a nightmare, isn't it? But how he got from that place to, murdering 4 people, who knows? Now, let me just make sure. Oh, Rio, you're back, Killing. Is it? Hi, Charlie. You're back. Has it finished the F1? Right. Now, I don't think I've missed anybody else. Oh, is it raining there, DMV? Yeah, I'd never heard of that visual snow syndrome. So, well, if only 2% of the world's population suffer from it, I think that's probably something that people get when they're on the computer and PlayStation games, Xbox, etc. Just the screen, like looking at it. That I think it's probably to do with that. And then if he's taking drugs at the same time as well, it's not good. No wonder he's got visual snow syndrome. Anyway, the last thing I want to tell you about Bryan is, because it struck me, it does seem like a sort of dramatic thing that he's done all of a sudden, because normally killers, they build up to things, don't they? He's got no record of I don't know, peeping Tom or assaults, or he's got no criminal record of anything like that. It's just right out of the blue, savagely murdered 4 young people. That's a big jump from nothing to that. How did it get to that? And what maybe, and how did he think that he wasn't going to get caught? Or did he, or was he not even thinking that? Had he just gone past that point by then? He just wanted to do it for existential experience or something. People do. We can't get our head around that, but people do that just to see what it feels like. Is that what he wanted to do? Even though he knew that it might send him to prison for the rest of his life. But as I think I mentioned in the other video as well, he's having quite a good time in a way in prison, because he's got this fan club. He has got, there literally is a Bryan Kohberger fan club, and they were recently banned. I mean, they had a group on Reddit. They had there still is a Bryan Kohberger fan page, but every time it gets banned off one of these social media platforms, it pops up somewhere else. So look this. So Reddit bans a channel for the fans of Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger. So this group apparently featured alters, fan fiction stories, and accounts of some Redditors' love for Mr. Kohberger's alleged mastermind and psychopathic tendencies. Really? It's a bit. So this subreddit was titled Bryan Nation, and it was amongst the most prominent of several unsettling fan groups to emerge on social media following his arrest. So this group grew to more than 500 members before it was recently banned for violating Reddit's moderator code of conduct. So, in the aftermath of the murders and his arrest 6 weeks later, true crime fans flocked to online forums to fill an information gap left by authorities who first cited the integrity of the investigation as the reason they did not share details about the probe. And now they're banned from talking about the case due to a gag order. So in addition to spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories, some of these online communities served as a space for the fans of the accused murderer to openly talk about their attraction for him, including Bryan Nation. It's just strange, isn't it? So what they're saying here, yeah. So that one was banned. They sent Valentine's gifts. Look at this. So one admirer posted the receipt for the $50 she placed in his commissary account as a Valentine's Day gift. And a small group of men and women form these groups on social media. Dear me. Yep. So there you go. So maybe, I'm going to share that with you. So maybe he's quite enjoying his sort of all this fandom that he's got. Gosh. Yeah, so apparently he must be able to do it. So he's in prison. It says inmate. Where did it say that? I just saw. You must be able to do it even that when they're in prison. Yeah, inmate account. So he's got an inmate account, and this fool has sent him $50. Oh, and then you have to pay a fee of $4.50. So it's $54.50. God, crackers, isn't it? Oh, so let's see what she said on it. So she said, early Valentine's Day gift for Bry. Hope he enjoys it. And then the comments that followed were from other people inquiring how they too might be able to send money to him. Goodness me. So, and it's true, it says groups of men and women forming romantic interest in alleged and convicted murderers is nothing new. I mean, it is nothing new, but social media makes it easier. I mean, in fact, I didn't even know that you could do that. So someone's in, I suppose they set up things like that because if you had your family member who was in prison and not for murder, even if it was for murder, if it was your son, I suppose, or you know, a close your husband or a close family member, you might want to send them some money. I don't. What would they do with money? I don't know. Can they buy things when they're in prison? Anyway, odd. So yeah, I think social media or internet and things will have made it all easier. So there is a poll on there that asked each member if they were. I've seen this before, but I can't pronounce it. Hybristophiliac, which is a person who's attracted to criminals. So there you go. So maybe he's quite enjoying it. Apparently he's got a bit of a link to BTK. There's some link going on there between them, or that's it. He seems to be like his hero or something. I don't know. I haven't looked into that properly, but it's all crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. And the problem with this is it's likely that this case, when I did the original video, people were saying it could be another 2 years. before he actually goes to court. Let's have a look at this. Oh my goodness. So Bryan Kohberger's lovesick fan calls him divine masculine. A Kentucky woman with a history of romantically pursuing killers has professed to be in lovesick for Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in November. So Brittany J. Hislop, a 35-year-old single mother, has made numerous posts in the last few weeks, professing her feelings of love for Kohberger, many of which were highlighted in a Saturday report from the New York Post. She called him her love interest, her perfect man, whilst also admitting that she doesn't expect to hear back from him. Goodness me. So here she is on Facebook. She says that she and Kohberger share an astrological signs. Shh. Sorry, the dog's barking upstairs because my son's just gone to the shop. Hey! She barks when he goes. Shh. So she notes that she and Kohberger share an astrological sign, Scorpio, and she uses birth charts to say that he is her divine masculine or divine masculine counterpart, which is a term in spiritualist communities to refer to one's most aligned romantic partner. Oh my God. And so she's put this post out on Facebook. I may stay off here for hours. Shh, shh. Sorry. I know that the last I had heard weeks ago is that Bryan is being kept isolated from other inmates, and so I know that we do both likely sleep alone, as I mentioned in a past post. And with me sleeping alone prior to his incarceration, I wonder if he did back then as well. What? Goodness me. Although I mentioned something about getting certain confirmations from him about his feelings and him being my divine masculine, I don't mean that I reach out to him to receive anything back at all from him, since I do that from a place of caring about him. Why don't you care about the families of his victims? Sharing my feelings and knowing what a serious situation he's in. But it's understandable how I wonder how he feels about me. He doesn't feel anything about you. Doesn't even know you, you twonk. Although I know that he has other things to worry about. No shit, Sherlock. Few other things to worry about with the situation he's in. Oh, poor Bryan. Oh my God, I just cannot believe these women. What is wrong with them? What is wrong with them? So there you go. If you're looking for a divine masculine, don't look any further than Bryan Kohberger, alleged murderer of 4 young students. Unbelievable. I know. And then when it said Rio, a single parent, then you think, uh-oh, so what, there's children in her house? You know, they should be taken off her. Just crazy. You know. Right, okay. I think these women, I think it's like, then they feel safe, you know, having been in a relationship with someone who's in prison. I bet she'd die. Imagine if he gets released, she'd probably die if he get, literally probably die because he'd probably stab her. But, could you imagine if you could just imagine it, you've got this, you feel safe because they're in prison and it's just, you're just like in the attention or whatever, I don't know, of having a relationship with a murderer. But, and then could you imagine then if he's sort of acquitted and then he just turns up on a doorstep, like knocks on the door with a McDonald's or something. Oh, hi. Remember you said, like, I'm your divine masculine. Well, here I am. Crazy. Yeah. Very crazy. I know. Mad. But there you go. She won't be the only one. There's probably loads. He's probably loving all that attention. Yeah, to me, he seems like he thinks he's going to get away. Hi, Sharon. Oh, Sharon, just finishing now. There's yeah, there is. I think it's almost like women who maybe are afraid of commitment or whatever, and they think they'll be safe. I don't know, and they're just having like sending these romantic letters or stuff, but they know that it'll never come to anything, and they feel safe in that. So that's what I mean. If he suddenly turned up at your door with a bottle of rosé and a bag of McDonald's, what would you do then? Oh, Jean, you're late as well. Sorry, Jean, I'm just finishing off now. But you can catch up. You can catch up. Better late than never. Better late to the party than never. But you can catch up, Sharon, anyway, on the catch up. But yeah, because I've been on for about an hour and nearly coming up to an hour and a half. But yeah. So that was the story. Well, what you'll be catching up on is the story of Bryan Kohberger. Who is he? How did he get to this point? You know, I mean, we do, as I say, he is allegedly the murderer. We have to keep remembering that. But they've got DNA, so you know, and they've got CCTV of his car in the area. They've got phone pings in the area. You know, I think they've got quite, and we don't even know all the information that they've got yet. That's all that we do know. And there's some evidence that he might have had some connection, a very loose connection, with one of the girls that were murdered, that he may have tried to contact her on social media and that, and she's ignored him. So, you know, looks likely that he is guilty. But you know what? You never know. And if it's going to take 2 years, possibly 2 years, another 2 years, so it's already been a year. So those kids, you know, they've the parents, sorry, of the kids that were murdered, they've had to wait a year already, and all of them are saying they don't get given any information any more than anybody else does. So it must be really frustrating. Yeah, my email, I'll put my email in here, Sharon. It's dead easy. It's Vicky Marie Chats, but you have to remember it's Vicky with an I. Vicky Marie Chats at gmail.com. Yeah. Oh, you've been to Idaho, Sharon? Oh. Yeah. It looks freezing, because every picture I've seen of it, it's been snowing. So it must, is it up in the mountains, I presume? It's up near Canada, isn't it? I think. Gosh, listen to me as if I know anything about geography, but because I don't, but only that I found out doing these cases. Yes, well, that's coming up soon. So Sharon's saying about the Chad and Laurie Daybell. Well, Chad's trial is coming up soon, isn't it? So that'll be interesting, see what comes out there. Don't know why there's such a long time, because Laurie has been, her case was ages ago, so I know that they'd said they were going to try them separately, but I'm just not sure why it's such a long time in between. But okay, thank you, Jackie. Yes, please like if you've enjoyed this video, if you've learned something new today, maybe. Thank you, Mal. Yeah. And I will see you tomorrow. Well, there'll definitely be a serial killer Sunday, and I expect I'll see you before that as well. and carry on with my shop and see what else I can get on there. And so complicated. Why is nothing simple, is it? You think, oh, well, this is a good idea, and it is a good idea. Don't get me wrong, but it's just complicated. Sharon, you used to be a Sensi director. Yeah. Yes, I do know that, because I had a friend that was director, or not director, but in Spain. Yeah, I love Sensi, actually. I do love Sensi. I've still got some wax melts, but I need to get actually I've got, you just reminded me, yeah, because I was going to say I need to get some tea lights, and I did get some the other day. I'm just wondering where they are. There they are. So I'm going to light my Sensi tonight. I'm going to light my Sensi tonight, Sharon. So thanks for reminding me about that. Yes, Lady Dog Lover, it is. It's the I know, DMV. Oh, thank you, DMV. Yeah, do you know what it is? It's when you're trying to put the designs like, because well, I don't want to bore you with it anyway. It's just so much, just want to just say to him, right, that's that, put that on there, and you just want somebody else to do it for you, don't you? But anyway, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. So remember to live and love very carefully, very wisely. Look after you, because if you don't, nobody else will. And also, if you don't look after you, you won't be able to look after anybody else. Glass of wine. Yeah, true crime and a glass of wine. I expect I'll have a glass of wine. Yeah, Sensi burner. That's what I haven't got at the moment, is a burner, actually. I've got like a thing I can put a candle in and light that and melt it. You're welcome, Rio. So I will see you tomorrow. So until I see you again, as always, may your God go with you. Love you all loads. Thank you.